Watch out for several foods that block blood vessels. The elderly should eat less. Early understanding and early benefit. People with old hearts and blood vessels. You must have heard this sentence. But you know what? Your blood vessels are like your water pipes. It will clog after a long time. The water pipe is blocked, and the most water leaks in the house. But clogged blood vessels can be a big problem. Hypertensive myocardial cerebral infarction. Does it make people's back cold? Especially the elderly. Vascular health is a matter of life. But there are some things we usually like to eat. The natural enemy of blood vessels. Eat more. The more garbage in the blood vessels will pile up. Slowly the problem came to the door. Can a blood vessel be blocked? Vascular blockage. It is a moment in our lives. Health issues we often hear about, but many people know him. It's an abstraction. Imagine that. If the sewer in your house is oiled, garbage is blocked. Is it easy to accumulate water, or even burst if the water flow is blocked? And the same is true for blood vessels. It's just that he delivers oxygen and nutrients to the body. Pipelines of life in every corner. If there is a problem, the consequences are much more serious. Inside human blood vessels, it's not a perfectly smooth highway. It will gradually age with age. It became less flat. Some components of the blood, such as fat, cholesterol, calcium, ions, etc. It easily adheres to the walls of blood vessels. Over time, so-called plaques form. These patches are like potholes in the road. Not only does it slow down the blood flow, it may also gradually clog the blood vessels. Now blockage doesn't happen overnight. It's a cumulative problem. At first, the lining of the blood vessels may just be depositing some fat, plaque. You may not feel it at all at this time. It's like the sewers are a little slow at first. No abnormalities on the surface, but as the garbage piles up, then the blood vessels become narrower and narrower. Blood flow becomes slower and slower. The body starts to call the police. The most common alarm is cardiovascular disease, like angina, heart attack, cerebral infarction, etc. Imagine that. The heart acts as the engine of the body. It requires a constant supply of blood. As a result, the blood transfusion pipeline suddenly blocked. Myocardial hypoxia. This could have triggered a heart attack. Also blocked blood vessels in the brain cell, hypoxia, is. You're more susceptible to infarction. These illnesses are not sudden. It is the result of the accumulation of long-term blockages in blood vessels. That clogged vessel. Why do you fall in love with the elderly? The reason is actually quite simple. As we age, decreased metabolic capacity of the body. The walls of blood vessels themselves gradually lose their elasticity. Plus some unhealthy lifestyles. For example, I like to eat foods high in oil and salt. Rarely exercise. Even smoking and drinking. The vascular burden is getting heavier and heavier. Then it's easier to get into trouble. It is important to note that vascular blockage. And it's not just older people. Living conditions have improved. Many young people eat too much greasy food, less exercise. Plus staying up late and being stressed. Vascular health. It's not just geriatrics anymore. Many middle-aged people, even young people, there is also a risk of blood vessel blockage. Don't think you can be reckless at a young age. Vascular health is a lifelong process. Don't wait for problems to happen before you start to regret it. The two most common foods that clog blood vessels. The elderly should eat less. What to eat will block blood vessels? It's a deceptively simple question. Well, there's a lot of science behind this. Certain foods are less conducive to vascular health, especially the elderly. Because the metabolism is slow, the body becomes less efficient at removing waste. Eating too much of these foods, likely to burden the blood vessels. A high-fat, high-cholesterol food. The walls of blood vessels in the human body like to be clean and tidy. But fat and cholesterol are like clingy goblins. Once you consume too much, may adhere to the lining of blood vessels. Formation of difficult-to-clean patches. These plaques didn't grow overnight. It's a cumulative effect. Especially for the elderly. Long-term high-fat diet. It makes the blood vessels more viscous. It flows more slowly. Put a lot of pressure on the blood vessels. 2 high-salt foods. Eat more salt. The body tries to balance the concentration of sodium in the body. Store more water. This increases blood volume. Vascular pressure goes up. The blood vessels are under constant pressure. Easily lose elasticity. Become brittle. Even rupture. Many of the elderly have reduced blood vessel elasticity. If you eat high-salt foods regularly, it's certainly accelerating the aging process of blood vessels. 3 foods high in sugar. Too much sugar. Through a series of complex metabolic processes, converted into fat, and stored in the body. These fats not only make you fat, may also trigger dyslipidemia, thickening and hardening blood vessel walls. For the elderly, excessive sugar intake. It can also lead to an increase in blood sugar. Further increases the risk of atherosclerosis. Tetratrans fat. This fat is found in some processed foods. Eating too much will show. Raises the level of bad cholesterol. It also lowers good cholesterol. This double whammy for vascular health. You're making it worse. The elderly's metabolic capacity is already weak. The efficiency of removing these harmful fats is also low. Therefore, if you regularly eat foods containing trans fats, blood vessel health can easily turn red. 5. High food. Poor metabolism can lead to increased uric acid, and uric acid crystals may be deposited on the walls of blood vessels. Indirect effects on vascular health, especially with gout, or high uric acid for the elderly. High-vote diet certainly adds fuel to the fire on vascular health. 6. Red and processed meats. These foods are high in saturated fat and gallbladder. Sterile. Regular consumption can easily lead to abnormal blood lipids. It may also increase the risk of intravascular inflammation. For the elderly, decreased anti-inflammatory ability of the body, once these inflammation appear, makes blood vessels more susceptible to damage. Reduce the intake of these foods. Not only does it make blood vessels healthier, it can also improve overall fitness. Choose light and nutritionally balanced diet. Eat more fresh fruits and vegetables and a rich diet. Fiber food can help clean up the garbage in the blood vessels. Develop healthy eating habits. It's the best gift for yourself and your family. Vascular health is linked to quality of life. Every bite of food is worth a serious choice. Don't let good food become a health hazard. Protective blood vessels. You can eat more of these 3 foods. The blood vessels are like highways for the body. Its smooth flow is directly related to health. I want my blood vessels to stay young. Very elastic. Eating the right food is important. Some foods not only don't harm blood vessels, you can also help him clean up the trash. Even repair damaged parts. Especially for the elderly. Eat more foods that are good for blood vessels. It can be said that it adds a layer of insurance for health. A food rich in dietary fiber. Dietary fiber is like a scavenger of blood vessels. It can help lower blood cholesterol levels, reduce the risk of plaque formation. Many of the elderly are worried about blood lipids, but it is added to the daily diet. Dietary fiber foods. It is one of the simplest and most effective methods. Meal. Fiber can also slow the rise in blood sugar, protect blood vessels from high blood sugar. Eat this kind of food oft. Your blood vessels are getting healthier. Blood flow will also be smoother. Reduce the risk of cardiovascular and cerebrovascular diseases. 2 foods rich in unsaturated fats. Unsaturated fatty acids are like blood vessel lubricants. It can lower the level of bad cholesterol. It also increases the proportion of good cholesterol. Helps blood vessels remain unobstructed and elastic. Unsaturated fatty acids can also inhibit intravascular, the occurrence of inflammation, prevent blood vessel walls from thickening and hardening. Unsaturated fatty acids in some foods. It's very high. They're blood vessels' best friends. The elderly can eat more of these foods. It protects the blood vessels. It can also lower the heart risk of cerebrovascular disease. 3 foods rich in antioxidants. The protective effect of antioxidants on blood vessels. Very big. Our blood vessels are chronically exposed to oxidation. Under stress. Vulnerable to free radical attack. Cause aging and damage. Antioxidants act as a shield for blood vessels. It neutralizes free radicals. Reduce their damage to blood vessels. And not only that. Antioxidants can also repair blood vessels. Minor damage to the wall. Improve blood flow. For the elderly, eat more of these foods. Not only does it make blood vessels healthier, it can also delay the aging of the whole body. Imagine that. Have a smooth, elastic blood vessels. Not only will it make you eat well, sleep well, and walk fast, it can also keep you away from those frightening, courageous heart, cerebrovascular disease. Protecting blood vessels is protecting your life. They are investing in their own future. And it's not just about living a few extra years. More for able to grow old, maintain a healthy body and a high quality of life. Okay, friends. The video content shared today is here. Hope the video content can help you. And finally, thank you very much for your support and encouragement. See you next time.